This message is brought to you by Public Health, Seattle and King County, the Washington Department of Health, Washington Chapter AAP, and Within Reach. No matter where your classroom is, whether in person or online, routine vaccinations protect your child from serious diseases like measles, mumps, and chickenpox, and they keep your child safe, healthy, and thriving. Need help finding a provider? Visit parenthelp123.org or call the Help Me Grow Washington hotline at 1-800-322-2588.
Join Rainier Avenue Radio from 5 to midnight for Sunday evening sound sessions. Jazz from the Cabinets from Big Poppy.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy.
Sergio LaCour's Love Lines.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Go to the phone line. Tell her who we talking to.
Sage Prince and Just My Opinion.
This is Sage, and that's just about going to do it for the first half of Just My Opinion.
K-Fox Nightbeat with Nasty Ness Rodriguez.
It's the beat of the Fox. K-Fox Nightbeat, Nasty Ness.
You know what? You're going to listen from 5 to midnight. Just turn it on and don't stop. DJ Alibaba. The Underground Surround Sound Star Time with Paul Pearson.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Pearson.
Sunday evening sound sessions on Rainier Avenue Radio. Trust me, you'll be listening the entire time from 5 to midnight. Sunday evening, your sound session on Rainier Avenue Radio.
This is Big Poppy, host of Jazz from the Cabinets. Join me each week for a listening tour of the first century of jazz. An eclectic mix of Dixieland, big band, cool jazz, bebop, contemporary jazz, world jazz, all jazz in all forms. That's Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy on Rainier Avenue Radio, streaming worldwide on RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Atlantic Street Center has been serving the children, youth, and families of the Seattle-King County area since 1910. We partner with families and communities to raise healthy, successful children and youth through services including counseling, early learning, youth development, domestic violence, and education support for school-aged children. Committed to serving the African-American community, Atlantic Street Center provides services and support for all marginalized people. Learn more at AtlanticStreetCenter.org.
This is Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Welcome to Real Estate and Money, a half-hour program on Rainier Avenue Radio.world designed to help you whether you're a buyer, seller, investor, or renter in real estate. Your hosts are two local professionals who will escort you on your journey. Violeta Strash, who has years of media advertising and marketing experience and brings this extensive knowledge to John L. Scott Real Estate and all our clients. And Tina Lombard, who is a mortgage loan originator with guaranteed rate affinity with over 28 years of experience. And now here's Violeta and Tina.
Well, hello, everyone. How are you on this beautiful, beautiful day? It is now March 4th, and we are in the middle of spring, and we welcome you to the show. Today, we're going to be talking about women in real estate and women in mortgages throughout history. Now, I am great on my own, but I am super fabulous with my co-host, Violeta Strash, and she's not on the show just yet, but she's going to be coming aboard very soon. So, everybody, how has everybody's weekend been? Did everybody get through the 1 hour fast forward ahead? Hopefully so. I did not realize that I was groggy because I missed an hour this weekend. So we're going to be talking about spring and all the effects of spring. But before that, we want to go ahead and talk to you about women in history. Now, of course, there are a lot of different topics regarding women in history, but specifically, we want to talk about real estate and mortgages. So if you have any friends or family members that are sitting around you or what have you, and they may want to tune in and listen to women in the history of women in real estate and mortgages, please have them tune in right now. But before we get started, we're going to start with our mortgage interest update. So Daniel, if you can put that up there, the rates have been steadily going up ever since October, November. They have been steadily rising. We did see a peak in the last couple of days and rates start tumbling. So if you remember last week, our rates had hit 7%. Now the average interest rate across the nation is 6.5 on a 30-year interest rate. APR is 6.719. If you look at the 15-year is at 5.648. That is a national average. We have 7-1 ARMs at 6.121 and 5-year ARMs at 5.90. So is that right? Yeah. Yeah, it's 5.994. So those of you who are out there and you're looking for mortgages, you're looking for the best rates, you're looking for homes, rates are starting to tumble. And I cannot get into it, but the Silicon Valley Bank the last couple of days had an explosion and there was a run on the bank that has affected a lot of the banking market. So things are starting to cool off and things are starting to adjust. And so this 6.5 may be temporary, it may be long term. I don't know, but all I can say is snatch it up. If you are sitting on the fence, 6.5 sounds great. Of course, if we wait, rates may go down to 6.25. They may go back up to 7%. But let's not wait for any windows. Let's go ahead and grab this opportunity now at 6.5. And if you can scroll down just a little bit more there, it talks about, there you go. Thank you. There you go. Now you can see how the rates are going up and down, up and down. And as you can see, as of March 14th, they started taking a turn. So this is a very exciting time for you. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. So, as far as, there's V. Hi, V. How are you?
Hi. I was on the wrong link.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Sitting there waiting.
Okay. Well, I just finished up with the mortgage interest rate. Do you have a real estate update for us?
Yes, I do. Okay. So in the past week for King County, let's start there as usual. We had 315 homes active on the market, 262 homes sold at an average price of $1,107,000. Last year it was $1,150,000. So relatively close, right? And in February, we're looking at days on the market for King County, 12 days last year versus 8 days this year. So, it's not taking people long to decide on buying a home, right? Sellers, they're getting to you, finding your home and making it happen. But what we're seeing now, again, multiple offers. So be ready, everybody. Percent to the list price in King County, 7% last year over asking price, and 3.5% this year more than asking price. So we're looking at showings per listing. Sellers 20 last year in February, 9 this year in February, and then the showings to get to pending, 28 showings last year, 19 this year. In Pierce County, let's move on there. We had 142 homes active the last week, and 191 homes sold at an average price of $607,000. Last year it was $614,000. Again, a $7,000 difference. That's not too bad. A little bit higher last year. And in February for Pierce County, days on the market, 13 last year, 22 this year. Percent of the list price, 4% higher than average for February, and around 2% higher than list price here in Pierce County. Showings per listing, 12 showings versus 7 this year. And then showings to pending. Last year it was 17 showings to get to the pending status, and 14 this year. A little bit quicker. Snohomish County, we're looking at 112 homes listed last week and 125 homes sold at an average price of $830,000 versus $838,000 last year. Not a significant difference. Days on the market, 11 last February, 21, a little bit more in Snohomish County this year. Percent of the list price, 6.5%, higher than the list price last February, and 2.5% this year. Showings per listing, 17 showings in Snohomish County, and versus 8 showings per listing this year. Showings to pending, 23 last year, and then 16 this year. So, we're getting into the spring market and it's getting heated up. A lot of people putting homes on the market. So we're talking to different people now who are interested in selling, because there's a ton of buyers that have been sitting around waiting for this market, the spring market. And it's a seasonal thing with real estate. So we're entering the peak. So thank you.
Great.
Here we go.
Here we go. Okay. So V, what we were talking about when I first came on, I started talking about, it is National Women's Month, and that is from March 1st to March 31st.
That's it. That's what we get.
No, we're celebrating us again. Every month is a celebration of something, right?
True.
So I was saying how there's different aspects of women in history and Women's Month. And here, our show is about real estate and money. So I thought we would talk a little bit about women's history in real estate and women's history in mortgages. And we've got some phenomenal information. And are we almost at halftime here, Daniel? Because maybe we can come back around and we can go ahead with the rest of our show and just take our break now.
Okay.
Tune in to Real Estate and Money every Tuesday afternoon from 2:30 to 3 here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Join your hosts, Violeta Strash with John L. Scott Kent North and Tina Lombard with Guaranteed Rate Affinity. They'll help you navigate the waters of our volatile real estate market and offer you some guidance on how to make your hard-earned money work to make your dreams come true. Learn about current trends, get tips on financial matters, and have fun, interactive discussions about your home inside and out. That's Real Estate and Money.
Great. Well, V, National Women's Month is celebrated here in the United States. And it's been since 1981, if I'm correct, that we have been celebrating. Yes, 1981, we've been celebrating Women's Month. It's so funny because last night I was watching watching the movie 9 to 5. You remember that?
Oh boy,
Dolly Parton, Jane Fonda, and Lily Tomlin. I was like, oh my gosh. And it's so funny because when I lived in the 80s, everything in that movie is something that I actually lived through. So ladies and gentlemen, that was a good movie to help celebrate International Women's Month, because there was a lot of things that we have instilled and done in the workplace in the last 40 years. That movie was like 43 years ago or so.
Really?
Years ago. Yeah. No, 1980. Yeah. Maybe 50 years ago. It's been quite some time. So anyways, to celebrate that, we've got women historically in art, in music, in science, in healthcare, in real estate, and mortgages and banking. There's women are mothers, women are in the home. There's a lot of different things, a lot of attributes that we have gone through and we have made this world a better place with. So real estate being one of those topics. So I've got a screen of different things here. I've got like 5 different screens, V, that I want to go through celebrating women in real estate, such as you. And
there you go.
Okay. So our first one we have here, Daniel, if you can show my first. Now this right here is talking about women, 10 facts about women in real estate history. So women actually have been involved in real estate since the 1700s. And we were doing things like administrative duties and so on and so forth. But it wasn't until the 1800s that women really started moving into the roles of brokers or agents. And that's in the 1800s. Okay. So according to the National Association of Realtors, women in real estate really started in 1908. And that's when we first started working. In the year 1908, there were 3,000 women working in real estate. Now, of course, here in this little county that I'm looking at, there's more than 3,000 women in real estate. So we've come a long way since 1908. The first female member joined in 1910. And she was a broker from Seattle, Washington. Okay, the land of women. Yeah, women of power. 1910, she was a broker in Seattle, Washington. Her name was Corrine Simpson. Okay, so it says here that women they started joining the local association. So even though nationally they were accepted, the local associations just kept holding them off. It wasn't until the 1950s that women were not being restricted from getting into real estate. Okay, so by 1978, women made up the majority of the National Association of Realtors membership. And today, the National Association of Realtors reports that over 65% of all realtors in the United States are women. So it's the hand that rocks the cradle. We are the hand that rocks the cradle. And so, so as far as real estate is concerned, women really, we're the ones that actually nest in the house, so on and so forth. So it makes common sense that women in real estate really started blossoming in the 50s to this day. Okay. It says here that single women are 2 times more likely to buy homes than a single man. So this is another reason why women have been doing so well in real estate. Isn't that something? I'll say that again. Single women are 2 times more likely than single men to buy a home. So what does that tell realtors out there? go after those single women. Okay.
Yes.
So according to NAR, May of 2018, 63% of all realtors are female. Yes. Women are often they're not often in executive positions. However, they should be. Okay. So only 14% of the CEOs out there in real estate are women. So even though we make up the majority of real estate agents, only 14% are in CEO roles. So that is some ground that we need to make equal really quick here. Okay. So anyways, we've got another slide I'd like to show everybody. And it's about the women in banking. So Daniel, can you bring that one up really quick? Okay, if you go down a little bit, it says women in real estate facts and figures. So let's look at that. 57% of all real estate brokers are female, according to this study here. 50% of property, real estate, and community association managers are women. So 11% of construction industry professionals are women. So there is still territory that we need to get into, is the construction. 30% of architects are female, which is nice. 88.5% of interior designers and decorators are women. So that's interesting. 70% of single buyers are women. So if we just targeted single women, okay, that's 70% of the home buyers out there. 10.76 million U.S. homes are owned and occupied by single women. That's a lot, okay? Homes owned by women are worth 92.3% of male-owned homes, okay? So in other words, if you have a house and a man has a house, exact same house, our house would appraise at 92.3% of male-owned homes. So that's still ground that we still have to make up here. Female-owned homes generate 1.5% less in annualized returns than male-owned homes. So, so there's still a discrepancy in the sexes there, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. We go on just a little bit. Today, many women work in the home title industry. However, there wasn't a case until the 1920s, in fact, when the American Land Title Association was first established in 1907. So, V, if you notice, when you go to your closings, most escrow officers are women.
Yep, that's right.
Title reps are women. And some of these title reps I've known for 30 years, and they're amazing. While the signers are women. And so it's just something that we acclimate to. So as far as the title industry is concerned, there is more women. So that's
why that is.
Why is that?
I think it's because women pay attention to the details. During a transaction, there's so many things going on, and title and escrow hold the money. And they are the ones that'll close the deal, but there's a lot of details involved to get to closing for each and every transaction.
You said a word right there, V, because it is so true. We are looking at everything. And, when you sit at an escrow table, when I go to close loans with my clients, I sit at the escrow table, the man will do his thing, but the woman's like, what's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? And, a lot of women signers, they know exactly where they're going. So, you're 100% right on that, V. Absolutely. So let's go to the next thing. We want to talk about women in banking. Okay, so when I worked at U.S. Bank back in 1994, 1992, and I worked at Security Pacific and Bank of America, so on and so forth, there were a lot of women in the bank, but not a lot of them were making a lot of money at that time. Not a lot of them were doing, selling investments. When I was a stockbroker, I went to the banking system, and I was like, wow, I was not getting paid as much as the girl, selling Clinique makeup down the street. I was not getting paid as much as them, even though I had 2 degrees and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of discrepancy in banking. And as far as mortgages is also an extension of banking. And I used to be a rep. I used to be a wholesale rep, and I called on more than 300 brokers. And I could have counted the amount of women mortgage officers I called on. I had like maybe 10 women out of 300 brokers that I called on that were actually loan officers. Now, of course, in this day and age now, 2023, we've come a long way in 20 years. There are a lot of women, but not as much as there are men. But let's go back. Let's look at this next link that I sent Daniel, and it talks about women and mortgages and banking. Clear back to Egyptian times.
Oh,
we handled the money. And we're not talking about the 1700s or the 1500s, the dark ages. We're talking about BC. We're talking about way back Cleopatra days. So Daniel, can you bring that up real quick? It's the Guardian company money. It talks about women being in real estate back in Egyptian days. We were actually able to own homes. Ancient Egypt, 3100 BC. Women hold financial rights just like men did. We can bank, we can hold money, we can hold titles, so on and so forth. And that was way back in Egyptian times. The biblical era, 1800s, under Jewish law, women had the right to own property. Okay, so let me turn on the slide again. somebody's trying to mess with me. Here we go. Yeah. So biblical time under Jewish law, women were able to write. Ancient Hinduism, 1500 BC, before Christ, women also had control of the property before marriage. So ancient Greek, women's financial rights are constrained compared to earlier societies. They're not allowed to own property; they're allowed to inherit property. Ancient Rome, same thing too. Pendulum swings back as freedom. Women in Rome were allowed to divorce, own property, and inherit. Okay, so let's go all the way through the middle. Let me see, the Middle East, Islam and Arabic laws actually let women inherit property, so on and so forth. But let's go all the way back now to our times. You know, France in 1881, they let women open up bank accounts without their husbands. And it wasn't until 1975 we were able to do that in the United States.
Wow.
So it's like, you know, way back in Egyptian times, women were like, doing their thing. And then we just kind of got restricted. And then now the 1900s, things were coming back. I remember working in the bank in 1990, 1991. I remember women would come to the bank and they weren't allowed loans because they didn't have the permission of their husband or they weren't married. I remember in the early 2000s, they had women coming in and loan officers would say, if you're not married, I can't help you.
Wow.
And I was like, I can help you. And so, you know, I got a lot of loans. There you go. Thank you, Daniel. So you see Egyptian women on that link right there.
Yes.
And you know, way back then we were like owning property and own, you know, and we had bank accounts and we were able to function just as men financially. That was way back in 3100 BC. So yeah, we've come a long way. So thank you, Daniel. We're done with that now. But I want to talk a little bit about, you know, when I was working at the bank, I think Phyllis Campbell was the first woman or Asian CEO of a bank. And that was like in 1994, 1995. She was phenomenal. Wow. She was an inspiration. But it wasn't until 1995 we had a woman CEO of a major bank. Okay, so I remember when I was a loan officer, 2000, 2005, 2007, 2010, women would come in crying, and they were colonels in the Army. They were teachers, they were nurses, they were military, and they couldn't get a loan because loan officers, it was illegal, but loan officers would say, you know, when you find a man, you get married, you can come here, but if you're a single woman, we're not quite sure if we can do that loan. And that was still happening in the mid 2000s. Now we're here at 2023, and I am doing loans for women who are making more than the men, or they've been working for how long, what have you, and they make a lot of money. A lot of times the income is starting to even out. But I have women now, I think about 50 to 60% of all my loans are single women. And they're doing extremely well, and they're demanding to talk to women mortgage loan officers because they're empathetic to their needs, their financial needs, and of course, you know, women realtors because we know exactly what to look for. So that's kind of the history of women in real estate. And if women hadn't started getting into real estate and pushing their weight around, we wouldn't be having the houses that we have now. You know, women have a big impression upon how an architecture puts together a house, where the kitchen is. You know, where the laundry is, where the family, where the kids are. You know, a lot of what we see as important is what architects have to put in a house for a family to find attractive in a house.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yes, absolutely. And when I'm, you know, showing homes, typically the woman is the one that will find the home, say, husband, this is it. This is what I want. Or there's a lot of potential here, and I want to put this in the, you know, laundry room up here where the kids are, or, you know, I need to have a dedicated space for my crafts, all that. So they decide what type of home, and eventually the home, and whether or not they're on the loan, it's usually the woman that picks out the home.
Yes, absolutely. Because we want to know where the food is. We want to know what the safety is. Yep. You know, we want to know, is it guarded? Is it safe? We want to know where the plants are. You know, really, you know, the home is like kind of our nest, and it's kind of our domain. And there's a lot of specifics. And if your wife is happy wife, happy life. Okay, so if your wife isn't happy in the home, or if you're a single woman, if you're not happy with the home, you're not buying it. I don't care how gorgeous or beautiful, how much marble or tile or whatever. You know, it's got to be sufficient for our needs.
And I have a client right now, this couple and family, a growing family. The wife is going to the hospital tomorrow to be induced.
Oh, okay.
With her fourth child. I've known them for a couple of weeks only, 2 or 3 weeks, let's say, 3 max. And she was the one that contacted me. She was the one that's been going out looking at homes for me, for the family. And she and I have gone out. She's told me what she wants, and it doesn't matter. The husband came along too a few times, but it was mainly for her. She's nesting. Right. So she needs to know where her baby's going to be, her other children. And that's important for her to get all this stuff solidified before she has a baby. And so we've been scrambling. And Tina has been there along with us. And we found a home on Saturday. We closed yesterday. Yes. And it's been hard to find things out there. But you know what? She found the home for her family.
Right. Yeah. Something when I was a mortgage loan officer, like in 2002, 2001, there wasn't a lot of women, but I remember whenever I would talk to a family, a husband and a wife, I thank you, husband. I'd talk right to the wife. Boom, 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 boom. They're like, why are you so successful in what you're doing? It's because I'm talking to the wife. She says, I need A, B, C, D, and you will pay for it. She was just, and I mean, and it's something because this is what we acclimate to. And so this in history, women we've been pushed aside. You can't vote, you can't talk, you can't write, you can't get educated, you can't own property. How could you own property? You're not equal to us. So we've been grasping that back. We had it way back in 3,000 years before Christ, and somehow we lost it. And so now we're still regaining ground. But one of the reasons why we want to celebrate women in history period, you want to look at the past and see what has happened to build a better future for yourself.
Yes.
You look at the wealth and the prosperity of Egypt, of all the biblical Jerusalem, all these beautiful places, Greece, so on and so forth. And it's, the way they treated their women there. They have the rights to bank. They have the rights to inherit. They have the rights to own land. So if half of your population is able to build abundance and to prosper, the whole country prospers. So as far as our history is concerned, with women fighting and fighting and fighting, when we do have equal ground to men, this world is going to be a better place. If more than half the population is able to obtain the same prosperity, abundance, and growth that the other half has, then you've got double the amount of people to make your whole world prosperous and abundant. So it's very important for us to not only look at history, but also to make history. And so a lot of people don't know, but Violeta actually has been very profound in media in Washington State. She has started how many Hispanic radio stations and crossed them over to television in Seattle, Washington. So there, ladies and gentlemen, is a woman of history right there. Okay, she's paving the way. If it wasn't for her, I mean, think about it. Wow. We had the first NBC or what have you in Seattle, all Hispanic news station. And that's because you paved the way. You came through your brain and through your heart, and you manifested that. So women in history is very, very important, but it's very important for us to not just look at history. We have to create history of our own.
Yeah.
Follow where there's a need or where women have been denied access to or have not been able to prosper. That's where we need to knock on the door, and that's where we need to continue the fight. So we can build our own women in history.
Okay. Well, I just saw that's time.
That's
How
it.
quickly that half hour goes. What happened? Yes, thank you all for joining us today. Every Tuesday at 2:30, please look us up Facebook Live on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. And we'll see you again next time. I'm Violeta Strash with John L. Scott.
And I'm Tina Lombard with the Bank of England.
Thank you all. Hope you enjoyed the show. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Real Estate and Money with your hosts, Violeta Strash and Tina Lombard. For more information, call 206-717-4490. That's 206-717-4490. Go to the Rainier Avenue Radio.world website to find the Real Estate and Money schedule, or tune into our live show every Tuesday afternoon from 2:30 to 3. We will help you find your dream home.